Hey guys, what's going on? James and Evan here, back with yet another episode of Real to Real. Today, we're doing. Is this our first tier maker list, Evan?
I believe it is. It is our first tier maker list. The first, but not the last. We will be coming at you guys with more of this stuff as well as time goes on here. But yeah, I believe this is our first one, and it is one that is probably one of my favorite horror franchises there is. I'm really excited to do this one.
Mine as well. Gotta love Insidious, right? That's what we're doing today. We're ranking the five movies in the series, I guess. I was trying to think of a specific word, but series, I guess, is the best way to describe this. So, Evan, let's just go ahead and dive right into it. Let's start with the first Insidious movie. Where would you have that at?
So I'm a little biased here, right? I still say that the first Insidious movie is the scariest movie that I've ever watched. It's because the first time I watched it, I was just one, I was younger, but I remember exactly where I was when I watched it, and it just the imagery, the story, the ghosts in it, and the last scene, right? Which guys, spoilers if you haven't seen the movies, they're over a decade old at this point. Like go watch them. But the last scene with that black bride is haunted in my memory banks for a long time. So I would probably have to go with great. If now we are not doing individual ones, we are going to come to a definitive list here. So we have to agree on it. I would put it in great, but I'm curious to hear what your thoughts on it as well.
I think I agree. I mean, anyone that's like the OG, right, is gonna get a lot of love for me. I remember the first Insidious being pretty freaking creepy, man. And that isn't, and like, I'm not gonna say that the series got worse as it got on. I mean, you can kind of say that. But like, the first one is just goated to me. I remember watching it and just being scared out of my mind. And also, it was just a good, it was good, you know? In terms of just the overall scares and just the kind of vibes with it, you know. So I'll put it in great too. In context of these movies, right? I'll put it into great. The next one on here, it looks like Insidious 4.
Yeah,
Um,
the last key or something like that, I think it's called.
yeah, from what I remember, Evan, I did not care for this one that much. What were your thoughts and opinions about this?
Yeah, this one they tried to go. So this is actually, I believe, this is a prequel to even the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So I am pretty sure this is also no, actually no, this is not a prequel. Sorry, I am wrong. This is not a prequel. There is some flashbacks in it, I believe, but this one is not a prequel. It sort of has to deal with Elise and her family a little bit more. But yeah, I also you started off best, right? When you said from what I remember. And that's not a good sign, right? So
Yeah.
when the movie isn't as memorable, that's not a great sign. So I'm not gonna push back. I think you can put this in the not very good column. And honestly, I am sort of glad that we got what we got, last year, which is the next one on the list, because it would have kind of sucked for the franchise to end on this note because it was a little bit disappointing for me as well.
And that's kind of the next one we are going to talk about here is the most recent addition to the franchise. It is Insidious: The Red Door. This one I thought was a better return to form. Now, is that to say it was as good as Insidious 1 or you know, like was it no, right? But it wasn't bad, right? I would put it in enjoyable personally. I had a fun time watching this. Was it insane? Like, you know, was it like groundbreaking for horror? No, but it also wasn't offensive either to where I was like, this movie just kind of sucks. I would put it in enjoyable. What do you think?
Yeah, I was debating between enjoyable or watchable. It definitely is an upgrade, right, from the fourth one. I do agree with that. It is an upgrade. It helps, I think, having the OG characters. Like I do think that helps
Mm-hmm.
having Patrick Wilson, having Rose Byrne there. Having the guy, the actor who played Dalton, I don't remember his name, but having those guys there, that certainly helps its cause. The things I do like about it is because it does bring back, like I said, a lot of the OG characters, just not also the heroes, but the villains as well, right? The demon is back in it. We're in it, kind of a new environment, but I will say it was a little bit disappointing for me at times because there was times when it felt kind of dull and it felt kind of slow. I would put it in watchable. See, this is the first time where we're gonna have a little bit of a debate about this, whether it's enjoyable or watchable. Because to me, the enjoyable one is one that, like, okay, I've watched it, now I can watch it again, and I haven't had that desire to watch it again. Like,
Ooh.
if I want to watch Insidious, I'll just watch one of like the first three.
Yeah, I would say that by that metric, for me personally, I can enjoy a movie and be more okay with not seeing it again, right? And be like, that was enjoyable. I don't regret seeing that, right? That's kind of like where when I'm in watchable, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can sit through this, but like, I really have no interest in this, or not a ton of interest per se.
Okay.
It,
Okay. So I
it,
mean, we just have different definitions.
right.
That's the biggest thing.
So we got to cut the difference here. I will concede and say it is watchable. I will concede and say it is watchable. We can put it in watchable. Um, um, because, it is somewhere in the middle, right? If there was a tier in between, that's kind of where we would settle on it. Insidious Chapter 2, I will say the next two and three rule, in my opinion.
I am a fan of two. I do like how they expanded upon everything that you saw in one. And like I said, I was even though it's freaking scarred me, I was a big fan of the Black Bride and stuff, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I was a very big fan of that. So the fact that in this one you get to expand even further into that, right? No pun intended about the further.
Oh boy.
But you get to go even more into that, even more in depth into that, and sort of the Black Bride's past and their motivations and stuff, and um it is a pretty good movie. It really is, and it sort of closes the door on the Lambert family, and really, and this has some jump scares. This has some serious jump scares in it. I would personally be putting this in the good category.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's on the level of the first one, which, like you said earlier, to me it's always tough to top the OG one, especially when the OG one is so good that it spawns four other movies in the franchise.
Right.
Like that's how much popularity it had. I would go good. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it.
No, I'd put it into good too. I mean, like, it would have to be just as it's so rare, right? Whenever you see something that's just as good, if not better, like a sequel that is just as good, if not better, than the first movie that came out. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, Insidious 2 was pretty freaking good, man. Like, but it doesn't compare to the OG, you know? That's just on a tier on its own. I'm very much happy with putting it in good. Like I said, or I agree with you, like it was a solid, scary movie that expanded without crapping all over whatever the situations were, and in kind of the storyline itself. And we were still able to have some really good scares and some really good just like buildup of tension. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Which I
There was
was,
there was a lot. Yep.
which I enjoyed. And finally, we're at Insidious 3. Um, from what I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Okay, so this one is the prequel. Okay, this one is before the events of the first Insidious. So Elise is still doing her whole thing. There's a young girl that comes to her and needs her help, and Elise gets back into it. So this is the prequel here. And I do like this movie. I don't love it. I don't. I do think so. This, and obviously this is the first one of the franchise that went in order of having a completely new cast. Right. Elise is pretty much the only OG cast member. Then you get the two guys that come into play later on. But Elise is the OG cast member. So we're dealing with a whole new set of characters here, a whole new setting. And I do think they did some interesting things with it. There is some good jump scares there. Uh, but ultimately, it doesn't quite live up to the first two for me. And I do think because it really doesn't include, the Black Bride or anything like that. Like, there's not many of the original demons or ghosts that are in it. So, and that's fine. I understand that you can't have every single movie about the same exact, thing, especially when the movie before that we just dived into sort of the Black Bride's past and everything. But you have a new villain here, and it is interesting. Uh, like I said, one that I'm not always going to rewatch. One that, like, if I'm in the mood to watch an Insidious movie, I will most likely watch if the first one or the second one. It's rare that I will watch the third one. I think I might have seen The Last Key maybe once since I've seen it, and I haven't seen The Red Door yet since I saw it in theaters last year. So I would personally put this in enjoyable. But I mean, I can hear the argument for good because there are good parts of it.
No, I agree. I put it in enjoyable. I do remember having a good time with this movie and thinking like, hey, this is good. But you could tell it was getting. I wasn't gonna say. I was gonna say it's getting weird. It was getting things were slowing down. In terms of the hype for Insidious. By the third one.
Yeah.
Um,
They started to get a little bit more. So obviously, the first one, it's the kid's in a coma, right? Or what we thought was a coma. And then now this one, it's our main character basically has her eyes and mouth, or her mouth, like, basically closed by this demon, and it got a little bit funky there in the third one. It is when it started affecting them more, like, rather than like scares, it's like sort of like almost possession, but not like having them like physically change.
yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, so really, how we're looking at it is one, two, three, five,
Yep.
four. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, nothing's gonna beat the first. I mean, even three, and really, and I hope this is it. Like, if you want me honest, I really do. I don't know if it will be because I still think it's a very profitable franchise, but I do hope that this is it for the franchise. I'm content, right? I'm content with these five movies, and it is crazy how we don't have a singular category with multiple movies. So, there was a few that were debated, but yeah, I think this is a pretty solid list here.
I'm kind of tapped out, kind of tapped out on the Insidious series as well. Like, I've seen enough. Like, it's fine. Leave it. You don't have to make 10 of these. You see that what that can do with like paranormal activity and stuff like that, which may be a tier list somewhere down the line. But five's fine. Now you're getting to the point where with four and with five, you're like, okay, really, like, please stop. Like,
Mhm.
we're kind of done here, man. I hope this is the last one. I feel like it is. I feel like Red Door is the last one. That really feels like it tied together a lot of stuff. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
it did, and I think bringing back the original cast, like the OG guy, um, I will say there is rumors, I believe, of it Insidious 6.
ugh.
So there is, and it sounds like, actually, it sounds like there is a release date. So we will be getting Insidious 6, it appears.
Oh boy,
So yes,
they
yes.
can't leave it. They can't leave it alone.
No, 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 no. They cannot. Apparently, there's not much there is not much other info. Plot details for Insidious 6 are undisclosed. It remains uncertain if legacy cast members will return for the film. The plot's under wraps. So, yeah, there isn't really much. There isn't really much info right now. But apparently, it does currently have a projected release date of August 29th, 2025. So we will see.
We will see, and obviously we'll have to add that to our rankings when it does roll around. But what do you guys think about our rankings? Let us know your thoughts and opinions about this down in the comments section below. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Guys, thanks so much for watching this rankings video. Let us know what other movie franchises you would want us to rank. It would be greatly appreciated. Guys, again, hope y'all enjoyed, and we'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and see you soon.